Alpha Day, the Committee on General Government Operations and Appropriation Housing is now called to order. Today is Thursday, October 7th. The time now is 3:05. Welcome to everyone connected by Zoom and those tuning in via television or the YouTube channel. Thank you for your patience for accommodating the Zoom platform while we maintain social distancing mandates. Notice for this public hearing were disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Wednesday, September 29th, 2021, and again on Tuesday, October 5th, 2021. The bill we'll be addressing today would be Bill 199-36 COR, introduced by Senator Amanda L. Shelton, co-sponsored by myself, Senator Agustin, Vice Speaker Senator Tina Rose Muña, Senator Telena Cruz Nelson, Senator Clynton Ridgell, Senator Jim Moylan, and Senator Jose Pedo Terlaje. An act to appropriate $580,070 from the revenues received pursuant to Chapter 42 of Title 11 Guam Code Annotated, the Earned Income Program reimbursement for calendar year 2021 to the Public Defender Service Corporation for the operation of the Elder Justice Center. The rules of conduct for this hearing. The Zoom meeting is hosted by my staff and will mute all Zoom participants until called upon. Members of the committee or non-committee members will be allowed to pose a question to an individual testifying or those that have testified. Individuals testifying shall first be recognized by me before speaking and begin by stating their name for record-keeping purposes. When called to speak, please ensure that you are unmuted. Question and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in removal from the virtual public hearing by my staff. Please ensure that your video remains on throughout the hearing. Participants must be visible at all times and not engage in any other activity during the hearing. Failure to maintain visibility may cause your removal from the meeting live stream. My colleagues and folks testifying, if you have to take a drink, please don't hesitate to not drink. And hopefully you're not having a full meal, but having a snack, I would not be bothered by that. I'd like to thank my colleagues for attending this afternoon hearing. We have in attendance, we have Senator Shelton, the author of the bill, Speaker Terlaje, Senator Brown, Senator Tello, and I know that Senator Cruz said they'll be coming on. I'd like to acknowledge that we have also individuals that will be testifying. We have attorneys Stephen Hattori, we have attorney Mike Phillips, we have Director Art Synopsis in the Department of Public Health and Social Service, and we have Charlene St. Nicholas. As the main sponsor, Senator Shelton, please provide her opening statement. We also have Senator Mary Torres that also has joined us. Thank you, Senators. Senator Amanda Shelton, if you can please have your opening statement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Sudius Masi, to you and to everyone on the call today, all of our colleagues. And I'd like to thank you as well for being a co-sponsor of this measure and the others who have signed on, Sudius Masi. I think the need for resources at the Elder Justice Center has grown tremendously, along with its wait list of elderly clients in the short time since we opened the doors just a few months ago, earlier this year. And I wanted to take this time to thank our partners at the Elder Justice Center and the Public Defender, as well as the Division of Senior Citizens for their continued work on behalf of our Manamco. Mr. Chair, we attempted to add these provisions during the budget bill, and although those attempts failed for us to fund the Elder Justice Center fully at that time, I'm hopeful that through this legislation, we will be able to bring more services to our Manamku, much needed services to our elder citizens who are waiting in line right now for these simple legal services from the Elder Justice Center. And I know that there has been some contention about the funding source that is proposed in this bill, as well as several other bills that we have been hearing throughout the day and throughout the week. But as you know, we are looking forward to this funding source coming to Guam and being able to appropriate it to the priorities that we as a legislature see fit. So I'd like to thank our colleagues here today for listening to the discussion and contributing. And I look forward to the points that will be made, the suggestions that will be made to strengthen this legislation. And I especially want to thank all of our partners again who are here to provide testimony. Sidious Masi, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Senator Shelton. We will now begin with Attorney Stephen Hattori. Sir, if you would just turn on your video, we appreciate it. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, senators. At this time, Your Honor, could I maybe reserve and allow Attorney Mike Phillips and Director St. Augustine to go first, since those two,
All right. Okay, we'll make you
Director St. Augustine's running our pandemic, so I'm sure he has other places to be. And Mike Phillips.
All right, we're going to start then with Director St. Augustine first, and then we'll massage if Senator Mike Phillips. I know he's ready to go, but Director St. Augustine, sir.
Thank you so much, really, for the allowance. It was not requested, but it is most definitely appreciated. Good afternoon, Hafide, Madam Speaker, Legislative Secretary, Chair, and members of the 36th Guam Legislature, St. Augustine, Senators Brown, Tello, Taidegui, and Mary Camacho Torres. I'm Arthur St. Augustine, Director of Public Health and Social Services. And to Attorney Hattori, thank you for yielding your time. I do have a FEMA meeting that I'm also scheduled to be at, but I couldn't pass this opportunity to express my full support of Bill 199-36. Prior to taking on this post as the Director of Public Health and Social Services, many of you and I, we've been in many celebrations of Senior Citizens Month. So I come from the Division of Senior Citizens, and I firsthand have seen the benefit of legal services. I've also seen firsthand the impact when legal services are transitioned from one provider to another. There has been delays in services. Sometimes the concern is continuity of services. So about 3 years ago, we launched a relationship with Public Defender Service Corporation, and it took us some time, but we started off with a pilot project. And I know this bill isn't about the history, but I just hope that by sharing this, there'd be a greater appreciation of where we're at and how this relationship, this partnership really is the one that we want to put our investment in. And for this reason, after some years of relationship with them, we launched a 6-month pilot project. We opened the Elder Justice Center, and we opened that in May 2021. And that approach has proven to be successful. We have seen an increase in cases. We have seen an increase in clients receiving or requesting services. And when you think of the big picture of this program with Public Defender Service Corp, and it, in my mind, being a permanent relationship, it provides a location, recognition, and a place for seniors, caregivers, and those seeking legal services for a very disadvantaged group of individuals, our elderly, to seek legal services to safeguard their interests, to protect their interests, and to give them a sense of peace, a peace of mind, of what and how they will take care of their affairs as they age. They may have a home and they want to have a disposition of that home in a legal process. They can protect their interests, and that's what PDSC is there. Their mission is already expressed to include representation of people who are unable to afford an attorney in private practice. Many of our seniors cannot afford a private attorney. That is why we have put legal services out there as a contract. But with Public Defender Service Corp and MOU, as long as the Division of Senior Citizens through the department ensures the continuity of the MOU, there will not be an interruption of services. Additional funding, what does that translate to? Sure, more legal staff, but it translates to actual services, delivery of services for our seniors so they can do end of life planning, estate planning, and they can put their house in order. As we too are aging, one of the considerations many of us have, if we haven't already, is really what and how will we manage our affairs as we get older. And we don't want it to the point where our seniors are no longer able to make those independent decisions. We want them to make those decisions when all their faculties are still current and they're competent. And so the additional funding of $70,000 is very much needed, so that we could really put a great footprint on legal services for our Manamco. The Elder Justice Center is that hub. You know, it's attached to the Division of Senior Citizens. Our local community will know where it's at in due time as more and more messaging comes out and more seniors talk about the legal services. So in short, it is going to be funds well spent. It's a good investment. It's a good investment in our Manamco and the population that has built our community to where it is today. And this is one way we as a community can give back to our seniors, to provide those seniors who can't afford legal services through the Division of Senior Citizens contract with Public Defender Service Corporation. And just as a quick note, the legal services, they do not do income generating cases. This is not a service in which a senior will sue another person or another entity. These are perhaps maybe wills, testaments, powers of attorney, if they need those. And so it's very limited in that regard. They're not going to be suing each other. They're not going to be suing companies. If that is their legal request, they will then be referred to a private attorney. So it's non-income generating cases, and it's really to help our seniors, even their caregivers, put the lives of the seniors in order, put their life in order in the sense of their legal requirements, who's going to make decisions for them in the future, if they need someone to make medical decisions for them, financial decisions, so that also their resources are protected. I know many of you have received calls in your careers as senators and perhaps even in your own personal experiences in which you hear stories of seniors who had great amount of assets, but in a short time have lost thousands of dollars, lost their homes, and now they're homeless. But with PDSC in partnership with Division of Senior Citizens, and with this support, they can get that message out for them to protect their investments so that it's there with them until they pass on. We want to protect and safeguard their assets. We want to protect and safeguard their rights. And we want to protect and safeguard their dignity. And we'd like to do that by providing them that legal option to understand what their options are and provide that information. And hopefully they'll execute these agreements, these legal documents through the assistance of PDSC, and they will be protected. So thank you this afternoon for your time. Charlene St. Nicholas is here, and she is the administrator of the Division of Senior Citizens, and Speaker Terlaje and Legislative Secretary Shelton and Chair Agustin, with all due respect, if I may ask to be excused, I really do have a FEMA meeting that I'm going to be going to on the application. If you have any questions for me, I definitely will stay for that. I know this may be out of order, and I'm not sure how the process is, but Charlene is here. She has a lot of information too on aging services, and I'm sure she can answer them. So thank you very much, and Susan Wisconsin, I really look forward to your support of the passage of bill that is before us this afternoon, which is Bill 19936. Thank you,
All right,
Chairman.
thank you, Director. We'll let Charlene be the one to carry that the questions there. We'll have now Attorney Mike Phillips before we go back to Stephen Hattori. Senator Phillips, sir. Or Senator Attorney Mike Phillips.
Mr. Chair, buenas, good afternoon, everybody. And I'll keep mine very short. You know, with Art, the director of public health speaking, when he started, Mr. Chair, I thought, okay, I'll just add the real kind of tragic side, the victim side, and then he kind of covered it. And so I think he's covered the whole span. I can assure you that the services are greatly needed, but a large portion of those are going to go into assisting the Manamco with making the correct decisions. There's so many small decisions that if made with the proper legal advice can save them a whole lot of money. But what I was thinking I was going to add, and then Art, quite frankly, covered it, or were the victims. I have cases, and I've had cases, and you can switch places. It doesn't matter, husband, wife, ethnicity, all of it, where husbands have been taken advantage of, widows and widowers, and let's face it, especially wives have been abused financially, and they're in a domestic situation that they can't get out of, and there's nobody that they can go to for help. Those that receive help, in my experience, either have the financial resources, and that isn't very common, or two, they have a friend that knows an attorney, or they know an attorney, and that attorney steps in. And they shouldn't be left to fend for themselves like that. We're a society that prides itself, right, in taking care of our least advantaged. I do want to say that when I looked at the bill, of course, a large portion of it was the funding, and I can't speak to that. Obviously, that's a legislative matter. And more than not speaking to it, I can honestly say when I look at it, I don't have any personal information regarding the funding, but the merits of it are really appearing to be a continuation of what has happened before, which was really the focus, and that continues to be my focus. So I just wanted to clarify that I'm not competent to speak to the funding, but I can say from personal experience that the cause and the public defender's office is the perfect group to do it. They're competent, they care. That's what they're there for. That's their passion. And I respect the attorneys there, and I really respect the leadership. And I hope that you'll give them your full support. I can't speak to the funding. I just wanted to make that clarification.
All right, thank you, Attorney Mike Phillips. Now we got Attorney Stephen Hattori. Sir.
Thank you, Chairman. Good afternoon, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, Senator Shelton, the sponsors of the bill. Good afternoon, Senator Joanne Brown, Senator Telotaitigui, and I believe Senator Mary Torres was on. There you are. Good afternoon. I'm not going to read my letter. I think we submitted it so you guys can review that. It's quite lengthy. And so what I want to address is why are we doing this, right? When the Guam legislature created the Public Defender Service Corporation, they gave us a mission, and it was a very unique mission among public defenders across the country. Guam is pretty much a front runner when it came to it. They gave us the duty to assist indigents, not just in criminal cases, but in civil matters as well. And this really, if a lot of matters get resolved civilly, they do not devolve into criminal matters. And so sometime in 2003, we've had a moratorium. In my opinion, we've only really been doing, half our job. And so opening the Elder Justice Center kind of restores that part of our job to, our office, right? Right now, we do some civil work that we've pretty much held on to, specifically protective orders. We probably did like 70 some protective orders this year. In the last fiscal year, the numbers are going up. We also do guardianships. Guardianships have been going up as well. This allows a relative or a family member to care for a minor, make sure their needs are met. We've also helped about, I believe we have about 35 war claim families, helping them recover the World War II war claim loyalty recognition funds. And these are for the heirs of survivors who have since passed. And then we've also done other civil work, including the representation of the travelers during the quarantine cases. And our representation of those travelers was quite interesting. It took a lot of time. Eventually ended up going to the Supreme Court, right? And but we spent our resources on that as well. And so when we look at the Elder Justice Center, this is really, in my view, half of our mission, helping the underserved, underrepresented people in our community with legal services. The Elder Justice Center really is our first separate shop to handle civil matters. I mean, I could see us expanding down the road to include helping veterans and other, groups that need representation who are unable to afford it. But right now, the greatest need is clearly with our senior citizens. The last 6 months, every time EJC goes out and we do outreach, and we get bombarded with calls, and you can really stress out when you think about the people that you're not able to help. Makes you lose focus on the people that you are able to help. And so we believe this bill will allow us to help a lot more seniors. And we're hoping that with your support, it'll go through. It is a lot of money, but it will allow us to hire the staff necessary to support the Elder Justice Center. And so thank you for your time. And I also submitted a letter. You guys have any questions? I'll stay throughout the hearing.
All right, thank you, Attorney Hattori. Now we'll proceed with Charlene St. Nicholas, please, ma'am. Just go ahead on, there you go.
Okay. So as our director, Art has mentioned, the planning with, for the partnership with the Public Defender Services Corp has been since around 2018. We saw this as a need then, and we still continue to see this as a need now presently with the senior. So we are very grateful that we've finally been able to, with the support of the Board of Trustees, to move forward the pilot project, which resulted in, of course, the soft opening that was conducted in May of 2021, which is also Older Americans Act month, a Senior Citizens Month. So we here at the division do support the request that's put in through Bill 199-36. And as Director San Agustin has brought up, there are individuals who are elderly who are out there and are in need, and our work in front of us is to ensure that we are able to connect them with that legal assistance services, to help them with their end of life planning, to help them with just planning as a whole. And this infusion of funding will provide the operations that's needed so that they can address that service.
All right, Charlene, thank you. We have now I'll send their man to Shelton. Do you have any questions for the panel that have testified?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll yield to my colleagues and wait until my closing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Madam Speaker, do you have any questions for the panel? I know you did send something on the chat. I think they loaded up the letter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I had asked for the letter that Public Defender said they had submitted because I haven't seen it. And so they said it's a lengthy one. I haven't been able to review it at this point. I'm not sure what's that other thing that's been uploaded, but all right. My questions are, first of all, so we're talking about $500,000 to go towards the Elder Justice Center at the Public Defender's Office, not to go to the Division of Senior Citizens, who is currently the one who receives the federal funds and contracts out for senior legal services. And I just wanted to go over that a little bit, because when we first passed a bill in the last term to change the enabling statute of the public defender, that was to allow the public defender to receive grants, which they said would help them to establish an elder justice center if they could seek and receive federal grants in that regard. So I do think that changing that their enabling statute allowed them to receive this grant from the Division of Senior Citizens, the federal grants for legal services for seniors. However, I guess I wanted to ask the public defender if they've received any other grants or if they sought any other grants for senior legal services, as we discussed in the passage of that bill back then.
Yeah, pretty much we haven't located any other additional grants, but we're always looking for more grants. Of course, we don't want to compete with Micronesian Legal or Guam Legal in the competition of those grants. Just, like in our protective order grants, we make it a point not to try to take money away from them, so that we can provide a service, alongside with them that doesn't, jeopardize their grant funding. But we will be looking for more grants in the future. And really the grant is great, but it only allows us to service seniors who are 60 and older. The local funds will allow us to fill that gap of the 55 to 60, which is the definition of a monumco under Guam law. But currently the grant will not allow us to assist them with any legal services.
That's right, because they're using the federal guidelines, which they use 60 years and older. And they've determined the age, they've determined the need and which types of services can be provided and the priorities. So currently the priorities are based on income. At the time when we were talking about authorizing that change in the enabling statute, the public defender had assured us, allowing public defender to do this additional service would not take away from their criminal cases. And I believe that's the reason the moratorium was put on, and that's because the board found a need for the public defender to concentrate on its criminal cases. But they had assured us at that time that they could handle both the criminal cases and elder justice or the senior citizens legal services under the federal grant. And so pretty much the legislature's going around the board in this area, and the board, continues to say, or to kind of mandate a moratorium on civil cases so that the public defender focuses on the criminal caseloads.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see, and then at the time we were assured that the public defender, if they received this contract, and that was going to be a non-competitive receipt of the contract, as opposed to prior to that, the contract had always been competitive, and so private attorneys competed for it and would do it. And however, the public defender had assured us that they were going to do it, and they were going to, the government was going to receive more value because they would be able to share these duties among their existing public defender staff, that we would receive more value than we were receiving under the prior contracts. And so I have asked, the Division of Senior Citizens, I remember numbers at that time, but I can't find them in the committee report back for that bill back then. But I wanted to know how many clients were covered under the last contract, and how many were on the waiting list at the time, like during that fiscal year, how many were able to be covered and how many were on the waiting list at that time. Because we keep saying we're seeing an increase in those amounts, and I just wanted to compare it. So Charlene messaged me that she would provide that after this meeting, and so I'll wait for that. So one of my concerns with this program has been that they've been talking about this since 2018, and in 2018, I think, if I understand correctly, that the senior legal services had actually not been provided by the Division of Senior Citizens because they were working with public defenders, as I said, entered into a relationship with public defenders since 2018. Yet the Center for Legal Services only opened in May 2021. And so at that time, I remember, there being articles, I think, in the paper about, that the senior citizens legal services may not have been provided, that there was a gap at that time. So there may have been a backlog when this contract began in May 2021. So in the most recent budget bill, $400,000, an additional $400,000 was given to the Division of Senior Citizens. It was supposed to be used for this program, additional senior legal services if needed, or any other additional senior citizens programs. We had been told during the budget hearings that the Division of Senior Citizens at Public Health was not fully funded. They admitted that straight up, and they said, but they were not requesting additional funds because they had been assured that they would be receiving ARP funds to cover the shortfalls. And I guess I don't know, Charlene, if you're speaking for the director, but if you could just tell us if you've received any of the ARP funds yet.
I do know that, as mentioned, and you had mentioned, there were shortfalls, and there is. In terms of ARP funds, we have received